in case. And we'll go ahead and start. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna mute all, and I've allowed people to be unmuted. So if you ever want to just say something, you can either raise your hand or unmute yourselves, not a problem. So I'll just do that. Great, so welcome everyone. We are having a session today, and it's going to be about efficient school operations. So kind of like digitizing your school. And it's not so much about the current situation we're in with the remote learning, but really from the very beginning of like just starting and scaling and leveraging your school in terms of the administration and the management of it, because I know a lot of us are wearing two hats. Myself, I'm not a teacher, but I wear solely the administrator hat. But I talk to teachers every day in this role, so I kind of understand what it's like, and I'm a parent too, so I understand the you know, just from the parent perspective and a little bit of the teacher perspective, and mainly the administrator perspective. So hopefully this presentation will give you some insight. I hope it's not basic information. It's my first PD as well, so I'll just share the information. We can open it up, and I'm doing it again on Thursday, so the feedback you give me will allow me to kind of fine tune it for Thursday as well. So let me just share my screen 1 second. And so let me know, oh, now I've lost all the faces. Let me just open up the faces. That should be good. All right, so let me know if you see that main slide. Just let me know if you see that. I actually lost all of my, I'm gonna just open up the chat maybe. There you go. I can see it, great. So I have one person seeing it. So yeah, so efficient school operations, digitizing your school's administration. And we're gonna look at it from different perspectives today. We're gonna look at it from the school management perspective, from the brand identity perspective, from a staff management perspective, classroom management, how to also manage the communications, the finances, how I've done it. And I'm always gonna kind of speak to it about how we've done it. I know there's many ways to do, to run a school. It's just the way that we found to be efficient for our school. It's been 3 years now. And also resources management and events management, and finally just engaging our community, because at the end of the day, we're a community language school, and one of our goals is that we are about community. So we want to make sure we're engaging our community in the best way possible. So a little bit about me, just quickly. How did I get this role? I started off as a parent really at Arabic Culture School. I was bringing my daughter there regularly, and I just started to talk a little bit more with the staff. I found that they were, you know, a short-staffed a little. So I said, do you need any help? Like, what does it require to run a school like this? I was completely new, also being new to Australia as well, because I come from Canada. So I had been a little bit new to the whole community languages there, although not new at all to the concept of going to a weekend school or a Sunday school or whatever, because I myself attended a language school back home in Canada, and it was part of my upbringing and part of my childhood. So I'm really involved in that. And so I asked around, and I said, well, they said, well, we need someone to kind of like run this, because it was kind of small at the time. It was in 2016. And I said, no problem. So I got sworn into ICT officer role in the end of 2016. So from there, 2017 was the first year where I actually started to take over some of the management aspects of the school. So just a little bit of background. I have a business coach background and a marketing background. So I help entrepreneurs build and launch their businesses online. So it's actually something that I'm understanding a little bit, and I kind of took that little school as a client, like in my mind as a client, and I said, let me try and scale it and see what I can do to improve its processes and systematize some of the business aspects of it, if I can just call it a little business for a little moment, you know. So right now, what we're finding ourselves is that the world is really turning to digital, okay? We see teams collaborating across the globe, and we're very, there's like data-driven decisions that are being made to improve a lot of different people, especially in this current situation that we're in, this CV-19 or COVID-19 situation. There's like this major shift happening, and new ways of doing things are being learned right now, okay? So to become a great community language school, it's not just about the traditional environment anymore. It's about, even though that's still very important, because hopefully once things go back to normal, we'll all go back to, you know, our schools and the, you know, the ways that we know how to teach and all that. But we need to more and more now be attuned to adaptation, and to be quick to change and quick to adapt the way we do things. Because of this digital development that we're coming in. So that you can continue in providing your students with the learning. And I'm sure you've felt that shift over the past few days or weeks as you quickly shifted to online, all right? So the schools that were prepared are the ones that have been, you know, doing this a little bit from the beginning. I'm not saying that you were, maybe you were doing online learning from the get-go, but maybe you had a little bit of your school already online in some sort of way, so that you can manage the data or the information that you need to go through. So let me just switch my slide. It's not clicking. 1 second. Oops. So at the very beginning, what we set out to do when I first started was, I noticed that all our enrollments were in paper form. So everything was being taken, and please feel free to, you know, let me just see if I can get my view to show if anyone's, oh yeah, there it is, the participants. I can see if anyone's, you know, wanting to speak up, let me know, and you can just unmute yourselves or let me know. So I'll see it here now. So yeah, so at the very beginning, we had our school management enrollments through paper form. So everything was being taken down through paper. And it was very laborious, it was very tedious. I had to enter in things manually in an Excel sheet or a Google sheet. And it was quite tedious until we decided to bring in, I decided to bring in an online enrollment form. And that was through a very simple Google form, online form. So just making sure that all of the requirements set by the community languages and the community languages Victoria, all of the requirements are in that form to capture that information. And then you go ahead and it takes it for you into a sheet automatically. So that was the very first change we did. And I'm actually curious, how many of you are doing still traditional forms of enrollment rather than online? So how many are doing online enrollment right now? Maybe you can click the lifting up your hand button. It'll show me quickly. So I see one person. So whoever's doing online, maybe you can click the button of raising the hand so I can see that you're doing. And if you're not raising your hand, then I'm assuming you're still in the traditional format of paper enrollment. So I see 2 hands going up. Great. All right. So
you mean
yeah.
enrollment process?
Yeah, the enrollment process, like
no,
how you, the intake.
Yes.
It's what, sorry, Leanna?
Online. We do it online, yeah. Yeah,
okay. Fair enough. Perfect. So so yeah, so it's something that, you know, you would, one of the very first things you could consider is to go ahead and build a Google online form. And my details will be at the very end of the presentation if you're wondering how to even do that. It's very simple, but, you know, I've had the enrollments, and some people are saying they're still doing traditional, and it's okay. Like, look, I looked at the size of the school, and in 2016, we were about 60 students. So traditional enrollment, paper enrollment, was still viable. But then, as I'll show you the next slide, as we built the online enrollment, And then we started to embed it on our website. And I'll talk to you a little bit later about how we rebranded our website as well. And that caused an increase in enrollment. Well, look at how the enrollments shot up in 2019. We were over 200 students. And I'm not saying that that was just purely because we switched to online enrollments. It's because we just kind of went through all of the things I'm going to talk about today. But one of them was that it was an online enrollment. And a lot of people were still resistant to that and said, well, can't I just fill up something by paper and give it to you? And I said, no, everything is online now. And if people would walk into the school and ask me, can't I just fill in a paper online? I said, no, just pick up your phone and I'll give you the website, click on that link, and they would do it right there and there, right in front of me with their child there, so that as soon as the Google form was submitted and I saw that submitted on my end, I said, well, your daughter can actually start today. So as long as your information is with me, your child can start school. And I was like on the day, even if they just walked in, you know. So that kind of eased a lot of things for us, and it just allowed this ease of process for the enrollments to happen, because I would take that information after and just process it, put it in our register. But as long as the raw data was in with me, we were good to have them start school right away. So I have a question. Google Forms are great, however, still a few inefficiencies. Do you have a standard procedure to share? I'm happy to, because of the actually quite short today, about in 40 minutes. I don't have the Google enrollment, but I'm happy to by email, so you might get the end of this presentation. Happy to share that. So, so that's what happened when we switched to online enrollments. Our enrollments actually shot up. The other thing that actually contributed to that, and I'm not sure if you see the images here, hold on. Okay, there might not, okay, there they are, the images are showing. So we went through a whole brand identity of rebranding of our school. So when I first started, the school had a very gunky kind of website, very unpleasant to the eyes. As you can see on the left there was green, fluorescent green, and you know, a logo of some sort. And it didn't really have a true identity or true personality to it. And even though I was very interested in the school, it didn't really matter to me. But however, branding of your school is quite important, and the way it looks like on the website is actually quite important, because it's your signature, it's your mark, it's how people first view you when they go and do a research online, for example. So we went through several, that was the first iteration when I first started. I didn't do that one, but then the one on the right was like a first pass at rebranding the website. So we went with larger pictures and making sure that people know that we're taking enrollments for 2017 on the front page. And then we went through a brand analysis homework project. We sat down, the team and us, and we just said, okay, well, what's our purpose? Because I don't think that that exercise had been done yet. So we looked at what our purpose was, and we saw that we're trying to build a strong, confident, proud children about their identity, about their community, and just a love and appreciation of their heritage and identity. So it was really about a strong, guiding kind of identity brand personality. And the words that would define us were about strength and resilience and community, because we want to bring people together. And what we needed was a new logo, new vibrant colors, and new imagery. So we were given 3 concepts to choose from, and then we went with one that resonated with our goals. So the one that resonated with our goals was this kind of like a guiding light, you know, this whatever, very, very kind of, we call it Islamic geometry, but it's a very geometrical shape, and it's just kind of like a guiding light and a lot of vibrant colors. So we went through a whole new branding, and that actually elevated the concept of the school in front of other people's eyes. So just having that exercise done also contributed to people being interested. So that's one thing. And now I'm just going to move to another part, which is the whole, how do you manage your staff in general? I'm curious to know, what are the communication channels that you use with your staff? We have two things, and I'll just show you one that we've used for a long time and then what we recently just implemented. And I might do a quick run through of that at the end, because what I want to do is kind of show you in real life what it looks like, but I just need to go through my slides first, and then maybe I can share another part of my screen and show you. So the first way we established communication channels with our staff, our teachers mainly, is what we call the WhatsApp channels. So as you see here, and I don't know if it's small or if you can see, I set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 channels that are different communication types, and different people are in the different channels. So we have a teacher's channel, which actually was the teacher's channel, but I'll show you how that switched over to a teacher's community on Facebook group just a week ago. We have our leadership channel, where everything to do with the main strategy of the school and main decisions and things like that is in that channel with the right people. We have a curriculum and content communication channel with the persons who are taking care of ensuring that the curriculums are being met. And then an events channel, because we did need to establish an events team at some point. I was running the events, and then I needed to have that completely taken over by another team specifically, because we're so much about events as well. And then, so in 2018, we had a management, which turned into a leadership. And then we had a new cultural experiences, so that's just to show you that on WhatsApp, that's how our communications are really, like the back and forth conversation, the questions, the announcements, the making sure that you saw this, and can you, a polling. So, however, the downside of that, especially for the teachers, was that a lot of conversation just would scroll up, and we wouldn't be able to capture that information into one place. So if I were to send them something, and then it would just get lost in a long line of different other chats, and it ended up being social sometimes, and you know, some in the middle of some conversation. So I decided last week that because we're in this situation where we're doing remote teaching and remote learning and all that, I need things to be organized all into one place, and I need things to be threaded discussions. So I know that if I'm talking about one thing, everything about that thing is going to happen under one thread. So I moved it into a community group, a private group, a completely private group in Facebook. And that's where now all of my communications with the teachers and the staff are. I can create units. Right now I'm doing a lot of Zoom tutorials for my teachers and staff, and I'm creating units inside of the Facebook group. And I'll show you that in a bit. Like I said, I don't want to switch too much between my stuff, but in the end, I'll just go and share with you some of the things I do. So you can group things in units inside of Facebook. You can do polls on Facebook. And I talk about this because I've already been managing a lot of communities inside of Facebook, so it was the first logical decision to me. But you may find that there's other things that you might want to use, like maybe a Google Hangouts is better for you, or there's other apps like Slack that could be more for work with a little bit of a charge. But Facebook is free, and you can create a group. You can put it under the profile of your school if you have a Facebook page, and it's very easy and it's very manageable. So that was new this year for us, just last week. I'm wondering, maybe a show of hands, does anyone, I see Magda saying email, phone, Facebook Messenger, and Zoom. Zoom is recent for us because we never used to have Zoom meetings, and it was even hard for us to even meet at the school. It was, we're only a Sunday school, so we run from 9 to 1, and it's very hard for us to sometimes even meet, to even the leadership team. So a little blessing in disguise with this CV-19 thing happening is that we're actually meeting way more than before on Zoom. So it's kind of funny because we're meeting much more, and we're getting a lot more feedback. And this Facebook group is also allowing us to really see each other better. So I'm kind of really pleasantly surprised by how the current situation is kind of improving our school's ability to talk to each other and all that, lo and behold. Now we're going to go into classroom management. So there's a couple of school leader tools. Oh, sorry, classroom management. We actually started using Class Dojo. Some of you are familiar with it. I'd love to know who's familiar with Class Dojo or using it already. So we did have Class Dojo for 2 years. We used it. Magda's using it. Great. For those of you who do not use any tool for classroom management or behavior management, I'm curious to know, what do you do, or if you're looking for anything that is to help you manage the classroom, as I will explain now. So we've used Class Dojo for 2 years, and I'll tell you what we've switched to only because of the reason that our school grew, and we've had to switch to another tool right away. So for 2 years, we were doing attendance tracking on Class Dojo, which is very simple to use. You just set up all your classrooms, and you have a school leader, and you have all the teachers enter their own classrooms with their students. So it was very, very good for attendance tracking, which for a few years was manual, and we've had to stick to the manual attendance tracking. However, we found that that caused a lot of errors inside of our metrics and our reporting in general. So we switched to digital tracking of our attendance to make sure that that information gets captured. And I was, as a school administrator, responsible to ensure that all the attendance was being taken across all the classes. It would be kind of like the way I spent my Sunday, just making sure every single class filled in their attendance. So there's easy reporting, and I'll tell you in a minute what we're now using. It's on the slide. But it also allowed Class Dojo to have a school directory. So teachers were allowed to made sure to be only in the classroom that they teach, and that they allowed only the parents of the students inside of that classroom. So it's a very safe environment where the parent and the teacher are able to communicate much more easily. And as many of you know, Class Dojo is also great for positive reinforcement and reward. So it's a points-based system that the students often love, and we're kind of missing that now with the new tool that we're using. So we're gonna have to find other ways to establish the positive reinforcement and the rewards base, especially now that we're doing remote learning. How are we going to establish that? Well, we can think of other ways. There's other tools as well that can be used in your Zoom sessions, like Kahoot or Mentimeter, that can just help that engagement and that feeling of that you did a good job, for example. And then finally, Class Dojo allowed you to kind of have like a Facebook style of feed, so you can see what happened in each classroom or what happened at the school. So any event or any story that would happen at the school would get posted on the wall, and that would get seen by the parent as well. So that was, that's a very good tool. And again, I'm sorry for not showing the visual, but I'll do that at the very end as well. So let's go to, so here's a little visual of how I would get some feedback about what happened at the school. I would get an email every week, I think, and it would tell me how many messages were sent home by the teacher to the parent, how many stories were shared, and how many positive feedback were given to the students, and how many, what is that one? Skills were celebrated. So when when a student does a good job, he gets a point. So I saw how many points were delivered to the student. So that in itself improved communications. You know, we noticed that the teachers in this environment communicated 8 times more with parents than they would by email or WhatsApp or written notes. And we never allowed the WhatsApp communication directly to parents. We never even allowed the emails directly to parents. It always had to come from the parent to the teacher. if they wanted to know something. So that really improved communications for us, having that online interaction where they can directly reach the parent if they wanted to, the teacher if they wanted to. And vice versa. And it also improved consistency because teachers agreed on how they want to encourage skills. So we all got to choose which skills are going to be rewarded in each classroom. So homework submitted, or helped another student in class, or brought their book with them every week. So there were all these like little parameters that were determined by us as a school and added into everyone's classroom so that they can then give the points based on those, and just give that, because it's not only just about, you know, who did the best at school or who did this. You set yourself as a teacher or administrator, you can set by yourself what you think should be rewarded positively. So that improved consistency across the school as well. So Class Dojo, I give it a thumbs up, and I'm going to talk to you in a bit. I'm going to show you at which point you would want to start implementing a Class Dojo style of management, because we didn't need it the first year, but we needed it the second year and the third year. And now I think we're on the fourth year, and we now need a whole new tool, which is called Compass. So let me go to the next slide. So that's our new tool. So as you grow as a school, and now we've come to about 240 students, which was way more than 60. So we decided we need a more robust tool. And I'm not going to go into the details of Compass because it's not for every school, but it's a very good tool for where it's like an all-in-one solution. So now we have the parents in there, the students in there, the staff in there. We have chronicle entries. We can custom tag every student. We can have a much more accurate attendance tracking, and easy student movements, because the problem I had with Class Dojo was that if a new student came in, I had to add them into the class, but then all of their attendance in the prior that was taken as either all present. It was like as if it recognized him as always being present, and I couldn't ever untick that. And it was kind of a problematic for me because I'd have to go and make sure that they're absent before they actually started. So with Compass, I'm able to set the dates, when they started, when they stopped. And it just gives a lot more accuracy for us as a school right now to handle all of that. Someone's asking, how much do you pay? So yeah, so I think we had we went through some negotiations, and at the end it was around in the range of 2,000, 3,000. So have those discussions with the Compass team, and they'll be able to set the right modules that you need, because you might not need all the modules, which is like enrollment and professional development. There's like different modules, so you can kind of piece together the best way it should be for you, keeping in mind that it could scale you to another level, for example. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Yes, per year. Yeah, it is a yearly annual fee. You're welcome. So let me go to the next slide. It's a bit slow right now. We were going through a nice flow there. Oops. Where did I jump off? Okay, I think I jumped off at communications management. So the other thing that comes with, you know, all of managing a school is the communications. And for maybe a year's time, I was managing enough with just emailing through we have a G Suite account. So it was one email account for the school, and I'm able to create mailing lists and then send off, you know, put everyone in a BCC kind of email, and then just send off a newsletter so that, you know, everyone gets a communication. But that didn't work anymore because I needed to send a lot of emails many times, maybe sometimes twice a week. And I didn't want to, like, I needed an email service provider. So we found an app called Flash Issue, which integrates with your Gmail app. And it helps you design emails and build your lists and then also track results. So I kind of wanted to know, I'm very data driven. So I wanted to make sure I know who's opening up my emails. It's a little stalkerishy, but when you're a digital marketer, you want to know who's opening your emails and who's not. So, or just to have that extra information. And it's 100% integratable with Gmail. It has templates and it's completely free. So, so Flash Issue was a very good suggestion. I was surprised that it worked quite well, and I'm still using it actually, because even though I can use Compass to send out news communications, I still have people that aren't fully on Compass yet. Like they just haven't gotten into the app, and I still need that communication to go out to them. So I still use Flash Issue to this very day just to create some emails and send out the same thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about finances, although it's not my area, but finances really, it's not my area, but the way, I'll just quickly go to this slide for a second and then I'll go back. The way we've digitized finances is that we did it with Square. So let me just show you this. The first year that we did Square, we actually allowed payments to be taken from my phone. So it's just this little dongle thing that, I don't know if you see that on my screen on the side, and you just connect it to your phone. And then you're able to swipe the card like that and take payments through your phone. Now, some people thought it was a little iffy, but it's very legitimate because you see Square readers all over the stores now. Like sometimes you walk in and there's a Square reader already. So it's a very legitimate piece of equipment. However, Square now, you can do it all by payment online. You can just create your invoices and send them out and have the parents just pay online, enter their information. It's 100% secure. So I don't touch any cash anymore. The first year I was touching cash and I was handling payments and transfers, and I had an Excel sheet. And I said, I can't really do that because it's taking up a lot of time, and we have a very precious time that we need to put to other things. So we've digitized Square. Everything is online, contactless. Everything is set up through the Square. You set up your items and you set up your different, like if you have a full fee student or a concession student and all that, and you just process all of that through this very, well, not this anymore, because the first year I was taking even cards, but I said, well, if I don't need this anymore, I'll just tell them to pay their invoices straight away online. Okay, so that is the way. And I wanted to go through a little bit of tips and best practices, but I feel like we might be running out of time, so I'm going to leave that for another time. But it was basically just some tips and practices about making sure that you understand your budgeting very well and working very closely with your accountant person, so that you know what your school is spending what on and when, and how that fits along with the projection of how many students you have any given year. So just having that, very sound financial practices, and maybe reviewing that with your school. And maybe we can do that as another topic for a PD session. I'm happy to bring on our accountant and show and have her explain how we do things at our school. So that's why I'm kind of flying over that side, because I realized it's not really relevant to today's topic. And finally, well, a few other things. So I wanted to talk to you about the school resources. So where do you save everything? Like, is it all in computer files and folders? That's how we started. I had folders and computers. Sometimes it would just all go into my downloads folder or my wherever things were, and I couldn't really find everything. I was just given a USB key, said, here's everything since 2015. And I said, well, I actually need all of this in the cloud. So with our G Suite, we have a Google Drive. So I was able to put and transfer all of our school resources into a Google Drive, and just keeping all the files into one place. So as you all know, remember with accreditation, that requires a lot of files and saving. So all of that is very neatly in Google Drive. And it's just helpful to have a system in Google Drive. because it's where everything will be in one place. So we also started recently to do lesson planning there and making sure all our teachers' resources are there. You may already be better at this than me, I'm not sure. So Google Drive is the way we're doing that right now. And then the other important tool that we needed to do other very important things that I established is Evernote and Scannable. Scannable is an app that works with Evernote. Okay, it's like a little blue, light blue. I should have put the logo there, but if anyone can't find it, just let me know. It's basically one that pairs with Evernote. And Evernote is a kind of documenting kind of tool or app. So that's the place where I save all of my working with children checks. All of that goes into my Evernote because they're pictures. So I want to say, and I know you're saying, well, why not the Google Drive? It could be the Google Drive. I just find it easy because Scannable, when the teacher comes in and they give me their working with children check, I scan it with the Scannable, and then I automatically send it to my Evernote. So it just goes all the way there because they work together. The scanning of the card and automatically going into a folder into my Evernote. So I have all of the teachers working with children in one place, and I'll show you that in a bit as well. That's where I started to keep all the school meeting minutes, and I just continued that way because it's like a very simple note-taking app as well. And then as well, if it takes, the Scannable takes pictures, well then I started to use it for the invoicing. So any invoices that needed to be paid or given to the finance department to be paid back, I would scan them in and send them to my Evernote and then make sure that the finance department saw that. And then other school resources that we've started to use right now is a task manager, and that one's mainly for me. So Denise says we use Genius Scan and then send to Google Drive. That's very, very good. So there's probably other ones. That was just the one that worked for me at the time right now. Asana Task Manager is basically a task manager, as it says. It's a tool that helps you share tasks between team members and also gives you deadlines and task deliverables. So if you need things by a certain date, you're going to be tagging that to a certain date, and then you tag your team members so that they're aware. Now, it's not something that's primordial. I mean, a task list is just as fine. You can use Google Keep and you can just make a list. But I'm just talking about if you want a more robust kind of a tool that just you go in, you say, what do I need to do today? You know, because we have so many things we need to do. I need a place where I can just dump all of the list of things that I need to do. I need to just dump that somewhere and make sure that it has a deadline to it. And Asana was the one I chose. And then finally, we do need branded graphics and images many times, and we need to do presentations and, you know, at the end of the year, the annual general meeting and the open day and staff day and all that. So we all do those presentations and those things right in Canva, as I'm showing you right now, a presentation that's delivered in there. So let me go forward. So finally, yeah, so it's basically the whole thing with running your school efficiently and digitizing it. It's all about those three things. It's about how you're gonna, and I don't think I've seen my slide on. Oh, there it is. I missed it. So there's my events management slide. We're a school we're very keen on events. So we do a lot of events surrounding the community. And the way we did our events is through, and ticketing is through TryBooking. And then for anything that had to do with rostering or volunteer signups or getting people to sign up to things to help us was through a sign up form. And those were the two tools that we used. And obviously all of that now is being used in Compass now, but I'm showing you the ways that, the ways that we kind of went from one phase to another. So again, the multi-platform approach you need to think about, it has to address your community, like making sure that your community stays engaged. So having a Facebook group for your parents, having a Facebook group for your teachers, or a WhatsApp channel, whichever way is the communication. You need to be able to have your school on mobile practically. So people call me the girl with the mobile always on my mobile at school because I can do anything on my mobile as I'm going about my day, helping other people, just making sure things are running properly. I'm practically running the school on my mobile. It's a bit sad, but it's the way it is today. And then also the third component you want to make sure about is that you want to make sure you increase your online presence and your brand visibility. So having that exercise of improving your brand is really important because then people will see you more and will be curious about you more. So finally, that's the execution really, like how we started. So we started with, you know, Excel sheets, direct bank transfers, folder files on computer. That's how we started when we were a little bit just starting, little 60, 50 students. And then we had to scale. Those things didn't work for us anymore. We had to go to Google Forms and Class Dojo for classroom management. We've had to improve our events because our events were really just being sent by email and just asking people to kind of respond back if they're coming. And that was just too much. I needed people to just go into one website, RSVP there, and then I have the reporting abilities on Try Booking or Sign Up Form. And then taking payments completely online through Square, sending marketing emails or marketing style emails, although we're a school, but they were really school communications, but using an email service provider like Flash Issue, and then putting everything into the cloud with Google Drive or G Suite. And now we're in phase 3 because we need to leverage the amount of data that we go through. And that's why we're starting to use an all-in-one solution, which is like Compass and Asana is my task manager, and of course still our G Suite. So I'm saying this because you are anywhere along that spectrum. It doesn't matter where you are. You can start to implement a little bit of that, all of that, or none of that. It depends on your school, and it depends what you're comfortable using. So that's just my final message before we go into questions and maybe going through a little bit of the live showing. Digitizing your school is just really simple. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, but it's going to be beneficial in the long run for you, even though it's time consuming. So, and just remember, my favorite thing to keep in mind always is that you don't have to get it perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get it going. Okay. So like some people freeze up a little bit because they think it has to be really good from the get-go, and it doesn't. We've gone through iterations and iterations of different things, and then we said, well, this doesn't. We love to try things, so we tried things, it didn't work, we tried something else. So yeah, so that's the kind of the end of it all, and there's my details if you ever want to have a chat with me or email me for any questions. And I'm happy to, what I'll do is I'll stop the share now if everyone's okay with that, and I'll put my details in the chat as well, and then I'm happy to answer a few questions for the last 15 minutes. Hopefully that was informative. I'll just put my details here.
Sorry, can we have the PowerPoint slides later on?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. Let me check with Fari how all of this works, but I'm happy to deliver those. If he maybe what I should do is I should I'll just capture.
I think Fari got everyone's email.
He has everyone's things, right? So I'll just ask him to give me that if he's allowed to, and then I'll just send it to everyone. I'm happy to do that. More than happy.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, and I'm happy. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I just missed one information. How much do you pay for campus annually? Because I couldn't find any information regarding the price online.
Right, they don't have information on their pricing because they obviously want you to talk to them. So our negotiation with them went to 2,500 for the modules that we asked for. So we asked for a few modules. We said we need this, we need enrollments, we need professional development, and we needed a few things because even though I'm not going to use them right away today or right now, I want them in the future. So have a negotiation with them, but it shouldn't be more than between that range of 2,000 to 3,000 per year, depending on the customized solution they create for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and tell them that you're a community language school, because they'll take that into account. Compass is really made for mainstream schools. So tell them that you're a community language school, and they'll work with you. They'll work with you. And I know that Nida said, when I told her I'm using Compass, she got a little bit excited. So I think she wants to see if we can have some sort of I don't know, maybe a negotiation done for all of the community language schools. So I might have a chat with Nida as well to see what she'd need about that from me. So
cool,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, Alan. Yeah, yeah, I'm happy to walk through anything. I'm just afraid of my computer going a bit slow, but I'm happy to walk through things with you if you guys want to see anything from behind the scenes. Yeah, or if anyone has a question, or I'm very curious to know, was this advanced, or like was this been there, done that kind of information, or is there anything in there that you think you'd probably want to implement at some point? Anyone? Yes, no, maybe so. Very new, Joy says. Okay. Well, for me, that's good feedback, because I wasn't sure what level this information is at. Like, I wasn't sure at all. So I just delivered it, and, but can we apply these with low cost? So Min, like I said in my, the last phase, the last slide where it shows the phases, you can apply the phase 2, what I call phase 2, with like Try Booking and Square and Google Drive and Class Dojo. Those were all free for us. So we literally went from practically free bootstrapping, kind of making sure the school runs online bootstrapping, to this $2,500 Compass. So it was free before for us, just to let you know. So you can definitely apply all of those, that phase 2 part, which is where we were at just a year ago, with a low to free cost. Yeah. So some people are saying it's new. Some good tips in using the IT where this helps. Great. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm happy that, I think you're welcome. School finance is using Square. Yeah, Square was a game changer for us too. Only because it really was very difficult for me to handle cash at school. I couldn't do that, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So, and I made sure a lot of people I had to do a lot of educating to the parents as well. So a lot of parents were like, can't I just give you cash? And I'm like, I'm sorry, we do our things online now. So I had to educate the parents a lot to just make them realize that we're kind of doing this now. So a lot of them were like, oh, okay, so I just put my stuff in on the internet. Like, where do I press the button? I said, check the email I sent you. The button is right there, pay invoice online. So they go back and they do it. So a lot of things we have to kind of educate the parents more than anyone, really. So our school is, I'm just reading some of the things. Can we all try community language Vic together? Yeah, that would be great for me to, let's see what Nida can do about that. Our school is very small, maximum 40 students. I'm having to be principal events manager. Well, see, Tatiana, that was me 2 to 3 years ago. I wasn't principal, so I never was principal. I luckily have Samir, who handles the principal duties. And I was ICT events admin. I was not accountant, but I was handling a lot of finances. I was handling the cash, really, the invoicing and the enrollments. I was enrollment officer. I have like 5 or 6 hats in one, and it was very difficult for me in one person. We were still kind of small, so I had to like find ways to get all of this stuff online to be able to manage. So with the things that I've shared today, that's how you manage that all these different hats, although you are principal too, so it's a bit hard. So you might need to start delegating things, or maybe looking at another person who can do that for you, because I never did the principal role and the administrator role. I was doing mainly the administrator role, as I still am today. So maybe having a second person with you. And how much do you pay for Square? Square is free, if I'm not mistaken, but you pay per transaction. So I think you pay per transaction. I can get you the information maybe once I email everyone. I can just do a little quick point about that. And can
I think that's 2.2%.
Right,
surcharge.
yeah, it's a percentage per transaction. So pretty nominal if you ask me, and pretty good if you're already handling all your tuition that way. So can we have the slides? Yep. Would like to have the topic on finance. Yeah, there was a slide I went over there, so I'll just share that. And I think I'm actually going to suggest to Fari in having a PD on finances, because we don't really have a PD of that style. And even this one was quite new. I said, I feel like people need to know about how to run a school. So maybe stay tuned for a future PD session. That would be a good one. Yeah, that is what we need to learn. I agree, Joy. Yeah, so yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, a PD on finance. I'm going to make a note of that, a PD on finance. Yes, that's good. And I just wanted to, maybe I'll just quickly run through how we did, because I'm particularly very, I'm finding that that's, I don't know if you have like a lot of things that you need to do with handling your staff and communications with your staff, but I'll just share with you our new community, because I'm quite pleased with it. And it's what I use now to communicate with the teachers for everything, really. So let me just make sure this uploads. That's why I'm kind of iffy to share, because my computer is so slow sometimes. But I'm just going to try to make it load. Okay. Yeah. Still loading. So what I wanted to show you really is this Facebook group where we have our teachers community in it. Sorry, it's really just taking some time. Maybe what I can do is I can do a little quick walkthrough. Oh, there you go. Okay. So, so there you go. It looks like this, and it's a little bit small. I don't know if you can see, but basically, if you go down, I have all of my announcements up here. So welcome everyone. This is our new home. And I just wanted them to be, because mind you, these people were very used to WhatsApp. Okay. So they're very, very into their phones, WhatsApp. So I wanted to, I still am doing a little bit of education of my teachers that this is our new place now. So I wanted them to feel happy that this is the place where we're going to communicate with everything. Here you have, you know, Samir doing a poll, asking them about something, because we want to know how they feel about something for, you know, how we're going to run our sessions on Sundays. We want to know what, you know, so we can run polls on there, and they're already commenting. So everything is in one place. So you see, can you imagine on WhatsApp if we're asking them something, and then everybody's just like texting and saying their opinion, but I have to scroll and go up and find, and in the middle of everything, and find what they're saying about something. But here it's all in one place. So another poll, and then here I have my units. So here you see here I'm doing some units. I'm teaching them about how to use a specific tool to submit their homework. So I go ahead and I post that, and I put it in the unit so they can go and find their units and listen to all of my videos and click done. So this is what I like about Facebook, is that you're able to track all that information and see the engagement. So I'm going to quickly stop sharing because it's really slow right now, but I just wanted to quickly show you how we're managing that aspect of the staff management part, because I think it's a very important part to communicate well with your people. So I will, I think I will stop now. If there's, we have maybe 5 more minutes, because I just want to like respect the time as well. So if anyone wants to chit chat or leave a, you know, ask another question, I'm happy to stay on for another 5 minutes. And oh yeah, I could have shown, so do you use FB group for parents? Yes, we do. So we have our Arabic school community for parents. And that one, I make sure that only parents go in there. So it's a private setting. And so the way I set that up is I have these questions, you know, that once you enter a group, you have to answer questions. So that the questions that I'm asking them is, do you have a student attending ACS? And what's the email you use to enroll them? So that goes to I vet them before they enter the group, because I don't want that to be an open space for anyone.
The very last question.
Yes.
We are Chinese culture school, so we are using WeChat, another social media platform, instead of Facebook.
Yeah.
What if parents or students refuse to join your private groups? What if parents and students refused to join your private groups? It happened to WeChat as well.
Yeah, it does happen. It's very hard to get 100% intake on a lot of things. So that's why I have the different mediums. I have the Compass. When we did Class Dojo, it was Class Dojo. It was email. So I always make sure that there's at least one touch point with them. So when I do an announcement on Facebook, I make sure that in the email, I say, go to Facebook to see that announcement. Or maybe I'll just say the announcement in the email. So I can't really coerce everyone to be in the places I want them to be. So I just make sure that the communication channels are as varied as possible. And then I have to kind of just make sure my message goes across those channels. And that's why for a long time I was called a communications manager. So, because it is a big role, just to manage that level of communication across the school. Yeah, but very good question. Great, you're welcome. As for the FB group, instead of questions, parents can also ask for our permission to join the group and we can let them in. Yeah, absolutely. You can do a share of the link. So it could be a very hidden, you can make the group very hidden. You can make it private. And I believe you can make it hidden. Sorry, you can make it closed and hidden. But hidden means that they won't be able to find it. So you might as well make it closed and private. I don't remember what the setting is in Facebook, but then that allows you to share just the link to them and they will go and find it on Facebook and add themselves in. So it's only a link that if the person has the link, that's how they are able to get in. No one else would find that link. Yeah, absolutely. Can I have a link for online enrollment? I'm gonna make sure that I put that into, I have an idea. I can send you our enrollment. You can have a look at it. Go to, oh, sorry, that was a private question, but it's okay. I'm happy to share it. So if you go to our website, let me just share it here, agricultureschool.org.au/enrollment. So if you go to that, you'll see it. Maybe try not to fill it out because then that will come to me as an actual enrollment, but maybe just have a look at it and see what it looks like, you know, if there's any evaluation. Oh, thank you, Min. That's really, really, really kind of you. And I hope I can do more. And yeah, I'm really happy that you've all attended and I'm looking forward to seeing you in some future events, hopefully. So I think that's all for tonight. And I will get in touch with Fari about that list and I will provide you with the slides. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, Heba. Bye.
Bye-bye.